24 August 2022. This is episode 41 of This and That and what a fuck. It's been a steep hill to climb, but I'm enjoying it. And I hope that I'm bringing you information that you like to hear. But you need to comment. If you don't comment, I wouldn't know. And I just want to say it again. It is extremely important for me to get the likes. Please, hit the like. Make it standard procedure for you. Every guy that brings you information on the YouTube channels, we all depend heavily on the likes. Because the algorithm sees those likes. And that is how our productions get better exposure. I'm going to start this off with a dangerous topic. Dangerous for my channel because of various reasons, but I have to share this information, because if I don't, I'm turning a blind eye to a reality. And we have this from New South Wales health surveillance data. And you can look at the graphs there, but the headline says it all. Natural defense wins. Now we get to this guy. You know, when I see this image of this guy, image like this, I get ugly thoughts, because this man, he played a major role in the disaster that was brought into our lives. Lockdowns, masks, fast-tracked poison and poison passports all emerged from a radical biosecurity agenda that can be tracked back to the Bush White House in 2005, and as of 2020 has established itself as orthodoxy. Well, I can't say more about that because I'll get into shit, but we've been taken for a ride. The sad part is it happened right in front of our eyes. And then this is from Peter McCullough. I must say, this guy, he stood firm right from the word go, and I think a lot of us owes him a lot. Today PubMed lists 30,000 papers on spike protein. I predict topping 1 million as the S protein drive disease on a mass scale never seen before. Billions have it loaded in their bodies with its serial genetic administrations. It resides long-term in organs, tissues, monocytes and exosomes. And now this one, I'm going to show it to you, and I'll waffle a bit. You must read what it is there, because it's too dangerous for me to read it. But the fact of the matter is, there are a lot of evidence that people are in trouble. And then here is this from Dr. Malone. And once again, I'm not going to read it out loud. You can take a look at it. But 1 in every 246 people, that figures is fucking disturbing. And then we've got this. And now you have to ask yourself, how much truth is it? And how much propaganda is it? And once again, I cannot read it to you, but you can read it yourself. This is another one. The big thing is this: as long as the population are petrified, they can feed you anything. And then we go into the Donbass. The longer people spend cut off from the world in bomb shelters, the harder it is for them to decide to leave, said Barabbas. Some say they have nowhere to go, or no financial means, or they say that they survived 2014, 2015, and they will survive now. He said some say they already left and came back because they ran out of money, and I can't deny that some are waiting for the Russians to come. I've had another skirmish today with an anti-Russian guy, and I really have to focus and concentrate not to lose my temper. But it is, to me, amazing how people can ignore facts and reality and just bet their whole lives and everything on the narrative. But we saw that with the pestilence. Same thing happened there. And this is the thing that makes me very angry. Ukraine shells apartment complexes in Donetsk. Ukrainian troops have shelled residential buildings in Donetsk using NATO-supplied 155mm caliber artillery. One apartment complex in the DPR capital took a direct hit. And when I read and see things like this, I cannot other than to hope that the Russians fuck these guys up properly. Properly! Look at this. Ukrainian shells pound Donetsk, killing 3 civilians. Emergency services are tending to the aftermath of the strikes on the civilian areas in the city, where a hotel and administration building were hit. The West gives them weapons and pump the weapons in there, and the fucking useless cretins, instead of fighting the Russians with it, they fight the civilians in the Donbass with it. They are, I'm not going to use more words on them, but I'm surely looking forward to the day that the Russians pound them into dust. And then we get to the energy. Colin Nixon. Europe with no power, no running water, no heat in the winter of 1722-23, 1822-23, and again in 2022-23. Will the European people allow their leaders to perpetrate another international crime of this level under the guise of punishing Russia? A very valid question, but I must say, after all these days doing these Skidmarks and so, and scanning the news feeds and that, I have to come to the conclusion that the European citizens are in some other reality. I think many of them cannot believe what is happening to them, but they do nothing. They just sit and they watch how their leaders accumulate more and more power, take more and more of their rights away, and fuck them up more and more. France's nuclear power build-out cost less than 85 billion euros in 2010 money. Germany's solar and wind build-out cost over 520 billion in 2016 money. Guess which one has cleaner electricity? Germany could have built 17 Hinkley Point CS for the cost of its solar and wind build-out. The Germans failed this test big time. I cannot believe that was a nation that I had a hell of a lot of respect for. And if you look at what they produce, it is always top quality. So it's obvious there is top brains behind them. And yet, they go and they pull a stupid move like this. And in the process, fuck their whole industry. Here is a graph that you can look at. Electricity production by source in France. And then we go into the Balkan. Estonians were predicted to live in darkness in 5 years. No, not because of electricity. We can buy it from our neighbors until we build some noteworthy power plants ourselves. I'm talking about intellectual darkness. Our school system is starting to fall apart because in 5 to 6 years there will be an acute shortage of teachers in all subjects. According to him, the average age of teachers in Estonia is now so high that in the coming years the mortality rate will put the country in front of the fact that it will not be possible to offer every student an education. And I cannot say much about it because the Estonia has done things that to me fringes on stupidity, but yet they carry on. Germany rules out nuclear to save gas. Economy Minister Robert Habeck said Sunday Germany should not keep nuclear plants running to ensure the power supply as their capacity is insufficient to make up for the natural gas shortage. It is the wrong decision given the little we would save. Berlin is deciding whether to extend the lifespan of the country's 3 operating nuclear power plants. What can I say? You get stupid arguments like this. And now we're in the EU, and look at this. The official urged Germans to wipe themselves with a rag instead of shower. What the hell is that? And then there is this, and I was quite surprised when I got onto it. Former Austrian Foreign Minister Karen Kneissel said that during the talks with President Vladimir Putin and Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, she felt in the company of adults, in contrast to her male colleagues from the European Union, whom she called teenagers. Now, I applaud her for having the guts to say it, because that is the reality. At this point in time, the Russians are the only adults in the room. And then we get this. Sweden isn't safe for women anymore. 42,936 reported rapes in the last 5 years. 26 rapes every day on average. 40,000 women genetically mutilated. There are 61 no-go zones. Yet the socialists in power call themselves the world's first feminist government. This is absolutely disgusting. But the realities lies in the immigration policies they have. And I've said it, those migrants do not have the same cultural background as the Swedes. They're coming from cultures that does not have that long civilization lineage. And this is what you get. And you must take in consideration, look at the images. The immigrants that stream in are mostly young, virile men. Of course those men are going to hunt for females. Of course they will. But never forget, the WEF has stated it clearly, that white cultures must be diluted. They want the white people out of existence. And this is what this immigration waves is all about, wiping out white culture. And then he continues, in 1975 there was 420 reported rapes. In 2021 there was 9,668 reported rapes. Something went very wrong. What happened to my country? I tried to find out in my investigative article. And I responded to him with a tweet and said he must just go and look at the migrant figures. And then we get to Joseph Burrell. Burrell opposes full visa ban for Russians. The EU's most senior diplomat has said that he did not support banning all Russian citizens from visiting the bloc, an idea that some member states have supported. Well, I hope he can make this stick, but it doesn't look like it because the Russian hate madness is running rife. And then now we get to my favorite topic of the global revolution. Russia and India may soon accept each other's Rupee, Mir and payment systems. Visa and MasterCard exited the market in Russia in March this year after the United States and other Western countries tightened sanctions on the country. And this is just another move away from the Western dominance in the world financial market. Every day a little bit. And then there's that. India to accept Russian debit and credit cards. Indian ATMs and terminals may soon start accepting Russian Mir debit and credit cards, India's Deccan Herald news outlet reported. According to the newspaper, in return, Russia is likely to clear the way for the Indian Rupee card to be accepted in the country. Currently, the parties are also reportedly discussing options for the mutual implementation of interbank transfer services, India's Unified Payments Interface UPI and SPFS, the Russian version of SWIFT. Another brick, and I like it. And then we get to Latvia. Latvia police have sealed off a 80-meter high Soviet-era monument glorifying the Red Army. The monument, built in 1985, will be dismantled tomorrow. And the barbarians is alive and well and living in Latvia. And here it is. Latvian authorities not only dismantled the sculpture of the liberators of Riga, but destroyed them. How barbaric is that? I cannot understand it, but those three little Balkan pimples sitting there up in the north, they must just watch out. Once Russia is done in the Ukraine, I won't be surprised if they're next. And then we get to a warafak. And this warafak is actually amusing, and I was also greatly surprised. Hungary's top 2 weather experts have been fired over a mistaken weather forecast that sparked a political uproar. And now, I'm not going to read the whole thing, you can stop it and read it if you want to, but the basics of it is that the Hungarians were planning a massive fireworks display for a specific day, festivities and all, and then the Weather Bureau advised them to postpone because of bad weather moving in. And surprise, surprise, as is usual from the weather forecasters, that bad weather didn't arrive. So massive amounts of people were disappointed and massive amounts of fireworks were set up that was never fired off. And so they fired the 2 weather forecast specialists. And I never thought I would see that day coming, because these weather forecasters, the fuckers can't tell me what the weather is tomorrow, but they want to tell me what the temperature will be in 100 years. And on that note, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and thank you for your support.